Love Sponge, which he seems to be a regular on now, down in Florida, that he will not
be now?
Not be a part of WrestleMania 23. Meathead, the question is then, does it impact the bigness of the show without Hogan revisiting that 20-year mark?
No, because we've already had more matches announced this previous week for WrestleMania 23, and no, it doesn't change the impact. I mean, remember when we were talking about WrestleMania 20 and how they wanted to get nostalgia, or the WrestleMania from Madison Square Garden?
Right.
They wanted to get nostalgia and they wanted to do whatever, and they said this WrestleMania and the wrestling business is not about going back to the past; it's about the future.
We've got to go back.
Gotta get back in time.
So, back in time. Is Hogan expected to be there? Do you think that the expectation of the fans has been set so high that Hogan would be expected to be there? It's been a rumor for a long time. As a matter of fact, you mentioned WrestleMania 20. Hulk Hogan was not a part of WrestleMania 20, the 20th anniversary celebration of WrestleMania itself. So, obviously, WWE does not feel they need Hogan at the big-time events, but
last year was big time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on my own and making it.
Big time.
Oh.
I'm on the way. I'm making it.
I feel that it would have been interesting to see Hogan in a matchup at WrestleMania, or at least to appear.
You feel that, and that's great for that. Great for you to feel that, and I don't feel it, and I don't really care if Hogan's there or not. The only match.
Are you a hater?
I'm not a hater. The only match I wanted to see Hogan at WrestleMania 23 was versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was the match.
More about him in the news and views segment coming up in a few moments, but that was the money match, and we did see the build-up for it at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony last year.
Yeah.
Whether it was planned or not, it seemed to be a natural course to move into WrestleMania 23 and have that match. Many say Stone Cold Steve Austin is not prepared to get back into the ring to wrestle Hulk Hogan. Now, think about that match. Austin not in game shape.
You know what you need to think about is that statement you just made. Austin is not in shape to get into the ring with Hogan. Have you seen Hogan's matches over the last 10 years, 15 years? Austin is not in shape to get into the ring with Hogan.
Some would even say that the Hollywood Hogan's match with The Rock at WrestleMania 18, Hogan wasn't very good in that match. However, it is one of the most memorable matches in the history of professional wrestling, mostly because of the psychology and also the reaction of the fans and the uniqueness that was surrounding that match. But I don't believe Hogan really needs to deliver from a performance standpoint, because quite frankly, he hasn't done that since '88. But I do think that
he delivered in
that
88?
name, that was when they changed titles over. Remember when Robin Leach was stumbling down the aisle at Trump Plaza with the new WWE Championship? That was about the end of Hogan there. But the level of performance that Hogan would deliver would not really be that high, and there are rumors that he does need more work on his bad knees. Austin will be, at least rumors indicate he will be part of WrestleMania. But that match, certainly, never say never in the wrestling business.
He's got to be involved in WrestleMania because it's time to pimp a movie.
Hogan, you mean?
No, I'm talking about Austin.
Folks, we are intrigued by what you may think. And send us a note on over to mail@pwrshow.com. Start up a post on the forum. Let us know. Hogan needed at WrestleMania or not? And is it a problem that at this point in time, on February the 15th, that Hogan is saying he's not a part of WrestleMania? Because as I said before, there have been many a falling out between him and Vince. They almost have like a Archie Bunker and Edith Bunker relationship.
Oh, would you stifle yourself?
Just get my beer, Edith. That's the top story, ladies and gentlemen. Let's roll into the news and views. And the first is about TNA. TNA has created a new policy within their ranks, whereas their performing stars must get prior approval before conducting any media interviews.
That's interesting.
It's very similar to what the policy WWE introduced several years ago for their workers as well. So it's not unprecedented, but TNA pretty much tightening the reins, as we see each month pretty much. There's a new policy coming out as they grow, tightening the reins on their control over their athletes. As I said, it's similar to WWE's existing policy, and it is said to be in reaction to Kip James's recent interview that he did, not only with an interview I was lucky enough to participate in with voiceofwrestling.com, but in a subsequent interview where he said flat out, if WWE offered him what he was making in TNA, he would jump ship in a heartbeat.
Would you?
To be honest, I would prefer to be in TNA right now, if I had my choice.
Is it your choice because of the work schedule, or because of the potential of money, or because of the atmosphere?
I think it's the atmosphere. I think the work schedule certainly allows for other opportunities, and I also think that you want to be a big fish in a small pond, not a big fish in a huge lake.
Small fish in a big pond, yeah.
Sure.
If I were a Kip, I would jump instantly because of the merchandising deals and the fact that it's just taken care of. You're taken care of. I mean, it's like making money from, and this has nothing to do with TNA, but I guess maybe in a way it does. It's like making that per diem when you're with the big club in the majors, or that per diem if you're down in the AAA. I mean, they pay you to go eat. They pay you to work out.
It's an interesting point. Should be also interesting for the many media outlets that would reach out to TNA stars and have no hurdles to overcome to get them on their show. Folks, you can listen to that interview, the controversial interview, at voiceofwrestling.com. It was an archived interview from a couple of weeks ago. Myself and Chris Cash hosted the program that week, as opposed to the last 2 weeks where Meathead's been the co-host.
Unfortunately, the previous Monday, I guess I would be what in the business was called punked. Yeah.
Couldn't have happened to a better person. Check out those shows, folks, at voiceofwrestling.com, or hop on over to the site you're either on or going to, which is pwrshow.com, and link on over from the front page to voiceofwrestling.com. Speaking of TNA, TNA is said to be heavy in talks with Spike TV over their 2-hour deal. They are looking to expand the 1-hour Impact on Thursday nights to a 2-hour program. Spike TV is receptive. TNA wants to do it. They just got to work out the details now at this point.
It's dollars. It's dollars.
TNA did do their Monday night special this past Monday night with the absence of Raw to the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show.
Which was opened brilliantly. Brilliantly. Now, Eric Young, obviously, the fans love him, but it opened up with Eric Young hanging out with dogs. I thought he got fired. No, hanging out with dogs. Shh, this ain't a dog show. This is about wrestling. Huzzah.
Good show, but Meathead, they scored a 1.2 rating, which is just around the neighborhood of what the normal weekly TNA Impact shows do. So, did they acquire new fans, or did their fans who are already watching the program simply tune on over to
I'm going to say 50-50.
Monday night?
Because they acquired half of that in new fans looking for something and heard that wrestling was going to be on and never took the chance to watch wrestling because they just didn't do anything on Thursdays. And Monday has been a staple for wrestling for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. That's where you watch wrestling, Mondays at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, wherever you're watching. But I don't think they acquired as many new fans as they could have because they found out it wasn't a live show and it was going to be just taped stuff.
Does this rating
even worse, I'm sorry, Damon, but even worse, it was new commentary over old matches. That was irritating.
Especially with Don West behind the mic.
Didn't matter who it was.
Does this rating prove that they had a missed opportunity to do a big
the Mighty
special,
Casey
a live
struck
show?
out. Big time. They should have went live. And again, I don't want to go back to Voice of Wrestling, and I've already said this before, but how could you not do a live show? The opportunity was perfect. Pay-per-view the night before on a Sunday.
And they
on
were
that Monday,
that night.
Let me finish my point. Thank you. All the talent was there. They were all there.
Yeah.
Now, and this is something that got brought up too. Was it Spike TV that said no to live?
Doubt it.
I
mean, there were obviously costs that would be incurred with the satellite truck.
I highly doubt that.
I feel it was a missed opportunity. They could have done something huge that night.
Oh, my God.
And I think that they took a route that isn't horrible, nor is the rating, because Spike TV did significantly higher ratings in the time slot when TNA was on than they would have on a normal Monday night. But I think that TNA had a golden opportunity, and they missed it. In this, because
there is a standard 4.0 audience that watches wrestling on Monday nights. What happened to 2.8 of them?
It's a very good question.
Where did they go?
Do you think they were watching? The Dog Show does good ratings.
Do you think a wrestling fan and a dog fan are the same person?
When I watched Monday night, I didn't. I was out to dinner.
Yeah, I know. We know.
What did you guys think of This Is TNA? TNA's 2-hour special Monday night on Spike TV. Let us know what you think. We've got some of your correspondences and phone calls that you will see in this week's edition of PWR Interactive, the debut it did. We found Frank. We found Frank, so we've
Let me ask you, again, those 2.8 million, where the hell did you go?
That's a good question.
I mean, we did experience record downloads again of PWR shows from the archives. I understand that you needed your fix. But what else were you doing? We only do a 40-ish minute show.
2.8 plus found SmackDown last Friday night as it achieves its highest rating in the 18 to 34 demographic in a very long time, and its highest rating since moving to CW, and its highest rating in a very long time of a 3.0 last Friday night. Meathead, right now, in this time leading between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, the brands become much less distinct as you're building on those WrestleMania matches.
When have they been distinct?
You see a lot of crossover between brands and a lot of crossover between talents.
We've seen that for a year, Damien.
Every year, too, we have this conversation.
We've seen this.
That, is this a point to WWE that they should really just combine all the brands again and have progressive storylines on all the shows?
No, they think they can get away with it.
Well, they are making more money and producing
more shows. And unfortunately for us, the fan, that's all they care about is making money.
Well, they're business.
And I know, but it's awful. They should have just done away with the two distinctly different brands. ECW is still around?
Yes, and some would say put on a very good show this past week. I am not one of those people.
Unbelievable. The fact that they think they can just get away without explanation. A Muhammad Hussein just showing up on SmackDown. Hey! Which is where he should be, going for the Cruiserweight title.
You're actually referring to Sean Daivari.
Excuse me, I apologize.
Feels good correcting you.
That's a first.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, we talked about him a little bit in the top story. Look for him to soon be showing up on Raw, not this Thursday night, on the special edition of Raw where the Donald was there, but
which would have made more sense.
Steve Austin will be showing up on Raw. As Meathead said earlier, his movie The Condemned will be out in theaters on April 28th. So very smartly, WWE will have Austin featured as a prominent part of WrestleMania and building on the momentum so fans remember that he exists and go out and see his movie. The potential of this movie, The Condemned, to be the best film of WWE films
I think you said the same thing about Kane's movie.
I actually, if you can check the tapes, no, did not. Have you bought See No Evil yet on digital versatile disc?
Will I watch it? If it's free on my free cable, maybe.
The Marine, doing great. $9.2 million, I believe, was the number in its first week of release from DVD rentals alone. Linda McMahon has stated that they are actually exploring straight-to-DVD movies now. Makes sense. Distribution's a lot cheaper. They have proven that they can make money in DVD releases, and many movies are doing it right now.
I think a lot of their money is wasted almost in the promotional fact of going to theaters.
You gotta get it costs a lot. Those prints cost several $1,000s each. Transportation, obviously. They've got to market the movie.
Well, they can market the movie on their own. They're not really even technically marketing it. All you have to do is listen to Raw, and you'll hear an advertisement for it 4 times, and you'll see their product placement all throughout the show. I mean, come on.
Another script exists for Stone Cold Steve Austin. They are going from their 1 to 2 movie a year production schedule to approximately 2 to 4 movies a year. WWE would be doing. Keep in mind, this is a profitable wing of World Wrestling Entertainment, so it will continue. Should you pick up the unrated version of The Marine on DVD? You got the rated version, huh?
I got the no version. How about that?
Test has been suspended for 30 days due to a violation of the wellness program. Now, this suspension is pretty much a slap on the wrist because he will still be allowed to.
Do you know why this is a slap on the wrist?
Because I didn't finish my news statement before we consulted upon each other on it.
Were you talking?
He will be allowed to still appear on television, even though he didn't this past week. Many say that that's the reason that his program with Bobby Lashley was cut so short and that he was so handedly punked, if you will, at the Royal Rumble.
Do you know why?
Why? I mean,
his is just a slap on the wrist. He's a prominent player on ECW, and they can't afford to lose him, even though technically he probably should have made it all the way to WrestleMania. But now insert new player with not only back knee, but some acne on the face as well.
He's pretty hideous. If there ever needed to be another Kane, he could pull it off better, removing the mask and being hideous. And Snitsky. Lots of intensity from Snitsky. Impressive.
The big boots, because that's what a big man does.
Why are you so bitter?
I'm not bitter. I'm just bored with it because it's the same crap.
Tickets are available for TNA Lockdown on pay-per-view coming up on April 15th. That will be at the Family Arena in San Luis, Missouri.
Does that mean there's no drinking there?
unsure at this time. Tickets are available. Visit the TNA website. Tickets go on sale this Friday on the interweb and on the Family Arena. I'm sorry, at the Family Arena Tickets location in St. Louis, Missouri.
I'm not going out if there's no beer.
Wrestling Society X Meathead, what'd you think of this past week's show?
I think that I didn't see it this week yet because
3 big matches, great matches. We saw Teddy Hart featured again. We saw the Trailer Trash Group, which I think is great. And we saw who could very well soon be my next favorite, a man who we have been lucky enough to see grow up through the ranks here in the Milwaukee area, Colt Cabana, who is playing the role of Matt Classic.
Nice.
It's great. He is an old school wrestler. He is an old school wrestler, comes out, and he was in a coma for 40 years. This is the storyline.
Colt Cabana.
And now he comes back. And he still thinks that it's the old school catch-as-catch-can wrestling style. Great promo that they showed for him this past week. That was a great show, much better show than the last week. Almost as good as the first week. 3 matches. Now, here's an interesting point. What is the average length of a match on WWE Raw, specifically?
7 minutes.
At most. I'm not TNA, but WSX is presenting maybe 3 or 4 minute matches.
Edited, by the way.
Edited, yes. And there are many saying that the matches are too short. I was that person last week. But when you put it in perspective as to what's being shown on Raw, they're really not too much different. And they realize that today's fan, especially the fan who's watching WSX, has a very short attention span and will quickly grab for that clicker, especially since MTV's breaks are about 47 minutes long.
Yes. And remember, it's only a 30-minute show, so how they're getting anything in there at all, I have no idea.
Great show again this week. Again, just amazing talents in Wrestling Society X. And these are talents that you can see on your local independent wrestling programs. We are lucky enough here in Milwaukee to have several. MIAW, Mid-American Wrestling, Brew City Wrestling, Great Lakes Championship Wrestling. And we've seen a lot of these stars come from these organizations.
We're real lucky here in the Midwest. I mean, just from all these guys being able to do their runs and make their rounds around here. I mean,
so check out your independent shows, folks. We don't talk about them enough, but I'm at least one a month, and this is where you're going to see the rising talent. Where Mr. Kennedy came from this area.
Mr. Who?
Sean Devari came from this area.
Mr. Who?
Ken Kennedy. He's on.
Oh, SmackDown. Mr. Kennedy.
Now you wait.
Oh, my gums in the way.
So check them out, and the WSX wrestlers are the type of wrestler you're going to see on those independent wrestling shows. The ratings have been strong on MTV, but WSX at this point does not know if there will be a Season 2. They say, though, that Wrestling Society X will continue, even if there is not a Season 2.
Remember this, folks. Wrestling Society X, at this current moment, is not a company. It's a TV show.
From Big
Velocity
Entertainment or something
like that. Big Entertainment, yeah. Big Vision.
WWE No Way Out is this weekend on pay-per-view. Let's run down the top 3 matches. Kane.
Oh, you're going to run them down. You're all negative again.
Kane will go one-on-one with Booker T. All hail
Booker T.
Booker
yeah.
in that matchup.
I got him to say Booker T.
Interestingly enough, on this week's SmackDown, you won't see Kane or Booker T.
Because that's the way you publish a show.
Winner in that matchup. We saw the beginnings of that happen at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, you've already seen it, so you know the winner?
I'm asking you.
No, you said winner of the matchup.
It was a question I was going to end with a question mark had you allowed me to finish. Ass.
Finish ass? Is that I'm in the Dutch ass, I'm in the Swedish ass. Finish
I
ass.
vote for all hail King Booker in that matchup.
Unfortunately, it's going to be King Booker because Kane just puts guys over now.
Tag team championships will be on the line, not in a 4-way ladder match as previously announced, but London and Kendrick, Brian Kendrick and Paul London, will defend their championships, which they've had for almost 10 months now, I believe.
Against who?
Defend their championships against Deuce and Domino. You know they're from the other side of the tracks. You don't like them?
No.
Why not?
Cherry doesn't show enough skin.
I'm sorry?
You heard it.
Is she in the match?
She's there.
Who wins in that matchup? Do we see new tag team champions as Deuce and Domino have 3 victories now over Kendrick and
Here's
London?
what's going to happen. If they're interacting in a match on SmackDown this week, whoever goes over on that match will lose on that Sunday. I'll just stick with the WWE format.
It's a singles match. Kendrick up against, I believe, Domino on SmackDown.
Okay, who wins that, by the way?
Domino.
Domino, and he goes over? your winners and still tag team champions, London and Kendrick.
You care to make it interesting?
I'll bet you my gum on the megaphone.
The main event is Batista teaming up with his
That's all
WrestleMania
that's on the card?
opponent. I said we'd go over the top 3 matches. For whatever reason, the United States champion isn't even in a match. The 2 opponents at WrestleMania on the SmackDown side of things, Batista and Undertaker will team up to take on John Cena and D-Generation X member Heartbreak Kid Shawn
You
Michaels
don't have to pimp the DX thing here.
in
It's
the
Heartbreak
main
Kid.
event at No Way Out. Meathead, this match, I think, is just going to fall apart, and it's going to become a Donnybrook
who cares who
between
wins?
these 4 people who are in the main event at WrestleMania.
Do you honestly care who wins?
No.
Why should we care? Why is this match here?
It is. I think it's a dynamic way to push the WrestleMania main events because you have, as I said, all 4 participants.
Why do you have more Raw talent on a SmackDown pay-per-view? Again. Why?
It happens.
Because they're 2 distinctly different brands.
Unless you're in January through March. They have a
Don't
they have a waiver.
don't even try that. Don't.
Another match that will be added on this Friday's SmackDown, so if you haven't seen
Especially
it, turn
because
your
the
speakers
December,
down.
the December tag team match at Armageddon, that didn't have any Raw talent in it.
Are you done?
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Turn
But
down
I'll
your
let you-
speakers if you don't want to hear the spoiler, but it will be Bobby Lashley, the ECW champion, going up against Mr.
Kennedy!
for the ECW championship, meathead.
And where's that at?
That is on No Way Out, the pay-per-view from SmackDown this
Really?
Sunday night. Yes.
So there's ECW talent on the show now, too.
There is, yes.
Why?
WrestleMania.
Bullcrap.
Let's go to the fan of
You
the week,
almost had to
ladies and
censor
gentlemen.
that right there.
This
'cause
week's
trust me,
fan
it
of the
was
week
coming out.
is Sunny. I know you want me.
She smells like the botanical gardens.
Survivor Series 1996. Jim Ross, Vince McMahon, and Sonny on the stick. Mark Merrow comes
Sonny
out with
was definitely
Sable.
on the stick.
And I tell you, one of the best commentary exchanges in the history of professional wrestling happened between Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, and Sonny that night. If you get a chance to take a look at that Survivor Series 96 from New York's Madison Square Garden, Shawn
You know which
versus... the match was featuring Mark Merrow and Sable. I believe it was an elimination match that Aldo Montoya may have been in along with Jason Snake.
He's
This-
jobbing on Wrestling Society X now.
No, Just Incredible is.
Whatever.
I would like to ask you guys a few questions, and seriously, these things have really been pissing me off. Like Jeff Jarrett used to get pissed off. Can I say pissing me off in my email? Well, can I say it on TV? And can you say it on the show? I just did. Anyways, what's with WWE? These guys don't push the people who need to be pushed. Number 1 victim of this, CM Punk. This guy is ECW. Honestly. Who has more captivating promos, who has the in-ring skills other than maybe RVD, and honestly, I don't think he is that great anymore. He is a fan favorite, he is cool, calm, and well, he needs to be the champion. Lashley is great and everything, but honestly, when it comes down to it overall, who do you think can hold the fans in the palm of his hands, Lashley or Punk?
Do I have to choose between the two?
This is what Sonny would like you to do.
Obviously, it's going to be Punk, but I mean,
What Sonny wants, Sonny gets.
obviously, it's going to be Punk. Lashley's
I didn't give up that crack cocaine.
probably more entertaining than we know of.
He's
Probably,
soft-spoken but hard-hitting.
probably more entertaining that we know of. I mean, look at what WWE did to Rob Van Dam for how many years? Dude, 420. They did that to him. Lashley is a former amateur champion.
He is. He's an All-American.
And you know, Armed Forces champion as well.
Yes.
But this is what WWE is making him.
So you're picking Lashley over Punk?
No, the Punk, if they were to wrestle a match,
No. The question is, who do
Who's
you
the
think
more
can hold
charis-
the fans more in the palm of their hand?
Punk.
We saw a promo on ECW this week. There were many saying Punk was being de-pushed. Not so sure. How many times have you seen a promo for a wrestler and then the graphic pop-up says, coming up next, wrestles next? I think the push is still there. CM Punk certainly is one of the ECW mainstays. And
New
Bobby
Breeds or
Lashley,
the New Bloods?
he has not been affiliated yet. The Bobby Lashley, I don't care about him. And I don't think the fans in general care about him because he's been thrown at us. He popped up on SmackDown back when it sucked. And you didn't know who he was. It's like, all right, Black Lesnar. And did you see, sweet Jesus, on ECW?
This show, Damien,
He
this
does this promo about why he jumps onto the ring apron because he wants to prove that big, muscular men like him can also be athletic. So he wants to show that big muscular men like Black Lesnar can jump on the apron.
By the way, coined by the meathead.
And show how athletic he is. A musclehead, if you will. Now, I wonder, CM Punk, in my opinion. Sonny, you're the fan of the week. As he was very adamant that he be the fan of the week, or she. It could be a girl. I'm unsure at this time. But Sonny, next time tell us where you're from, because we like to know those kinds of things. Let's go into the hits and misses for this week, ladies and gentlemen. The hit from NWA TNA. Christian Cage retains the NWA Championship this past Sunday at the Against All Odds pay-per-view, where many thought Kurt Angle was going to win it all.
Not this guy.
Another hit is the Matt Classic. It's a great gimmick. You can see that on WSX.mtv.com on the extra WS Extra show that is on that very annoying website. And I'll give another hit to the WSX show for this week. I thought it was a great show. Again, great product. Again, I'm more interested in WSX than ECW.
You and me first said, the second we saw the ring announcer, said, oh my God, what is that? I like it.
Last week was
Don't
me.
point that pen at me
Last
anymore.
week was me. Now you're, again, behind the times on these coattails.
Yeah.
Now you like
By the
it.
way, you hit me with that pen once and it's over. I'm amused
Is
by
that a
it.
threat?
You know why I'm amused by it?
Where
Because
is
it fits everything that's going on around it. He belongs in that atmosphere. It almost feels like the video game Pit Fighter. Do you remember that?
No.
You guys
like,
do.
Contra?
You guys remember the game Pit Fighter, where the two fighters would come out and it was kind of like a warehouse gang kind of fighting thing?
Were they in a pit?
He fits that.
Those are your hits for this week. The miss, I thought, was ECW felt too much like Raw this week. What I mean by that is the ending especially. We've got the New Breed and the entryway and the ECW originals in the ring. It was like, it just didn't leave me feeling good. Good thing it ends a couple of minutes after a WSX, or I would not have seen it.
Unless you have a digital video recorder.
A couple of notes on PWRshow.com, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a couple new feature matches available featuring Tito Santana.
Arriba!
Teaming up with Ovato in a recent matchup on Pro Wrestling Report, the website, PWRshow.com, exclusively available there, folks. And also an interview that I was able to conduct with Sherry Martel, WWE Hall of Famer Sherry
Damien
Martel.
got his first kiss from a woman.
That day on PWRshow.com, the only place you can find those folks, so check them out and give us a hand and make sure you click on the information at the end of those videos to help spread the word about Pro Wrestling Report. There's also a couple of new polls available on PWRshow.com, polls that we will be communicating the results to you of on PWR Interactive.
I guess we found Frank, is what I heard again.
We have found Frank. He's back from the Poconos. And we have several positions available for your writing talents on PWRshow.com as well. Hopping over the main page of the website, click on the jobs link, and we are looking for some people to supplement the great work of our ECW reporter, Alex Pelfrey, to bring us those reports of weekly television products from the wrestling world. Top fives, Meathead. We'll start with the man on my right, because unfortunately he votes that way. You don't have a candidate to choose. You really got nothing coming up in 08.
Sure do. In 08, I'll be 35, excuse me. And what's the legal age for running for president?
Drug-free.
I am drug-free. Say my name, boy.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Say my name, boy.
The man they call Meathead.
Number 5 on my top 5 list goes out to that little kid
That's
that stole...
redundant.
Yeah, number 5 on my top 5 list goes out to that little kid that stole our banner and put up a picture of us saying that he was the Pro Wrestling Report. Number 5 on my top 5 list, some 5-year-old. That's why he's number 5. Number 4 on my top 5 list goes out to the Donald. And by the way, after WrestleMania...
Hair versus hair.
But after WrestleMania, he's going to coin a new phrase, which I probably have already said, you bald.
Thank you.
You
It
bald.
is a symbol of wisdom, by the way.
No, it's not. Number 4 on my top 5 list is the Donald. Number 3 on my top 5 list, I'm still thinking Arby's every time I see her. I love me some Mickey
A lot of people
James.
don't get that roast beef reference that you make, so not in this particular program should you talk about it, but maybe a post on the forum is necessary for you to explain to our
This is
viewers
an
over the age of 18.
This is an 18 and over conversation.
Kenny loves roast beef.
Oh, yes, he does. I'm thinking Arby's number
He gets
3
roast
is
beef more than
Mickey
you do, I think.
James. And she had a great picture on Diva today. Oh, the pigtails all over. Next, number 2 on my top 5 list is going to go, it won't be Kenny, that's for sure, but number 2 is going to be...
Chucky Smooth?
That'd be great if we had Chucky, but nobody knows where the hell
I miss Chucky
is.
Smooth.
Number 2 is
And then
Mr. Kennedy!
Now you wait.
Kennedy. I swear that pen gets closer and closer every time I say it. Number 2, Mr. Kennedy on my top 5 list. And by the way, I just make them up as I go. That's why it seems like I'm stalling. Number 1 on the top 5 list is going to go out to Frank Costantino for showing up and
he's back!
Returning. Frank Costantino.
And better
number
than
1.
ever. And the definitive top 5 list, the one Barack Obama and all of you tuned in to see this week. Number 5 is Jonathan Bradshaw Layfield. Another edition of Around the Ring is available on WWE.com. JBL and Michael Cole do a great job with that particular webcast show on WWE.com. Number 4 is the first inductee into the 2007 Hall of Fame. I'm not talking about Umaga's thumb into his throat, but... America! You hit that wrong. You hit that wrong. Dream! Will you be my sapphire?
No.
Dusty Rhodes, the first inductee into the 2007 WWE Hall of Fame, is my number 4 on this week's top 5. Number 3 is Sherry Martel. Some say she's crazy. I say she's unique. And you can see her
that
uniqueness
kind of crazy
on our program.
It's almost sexy.
Is she bringing sexy back?
No.
I didn't know sexy went away. Number 2 is I'll say it, probably the hardest working man in WWE right now, the champ, John Cena. Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, the top wrestler in my mind this week on the Pro Wrestling Report is the NWA champion, Christian Cage.
Tune in for the peeps.
Tomko is blonde now. Did you notice?
Yeah. He stole some of Big Daddy Pump's dye and just dyed the sides. You know, that's when Big Bad Booty Daddy went heel, is when he dyed it into blonde.
Maybe that was a side effect.
Possibly.
That
He
is
hasn't
this
been
week's
phased
edition
since.
of the Pro Wrestling Report. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you click on over to PWI Interactive, and at the end of this program, there's a special feature for you to click on. Make sure you tune in on the PWRshow.com website. Meathead, we'll see you next week. We're actually going to join Frank on the premiere edition of PWR Interactive.
Ooh.
So, yeah. And make sure you tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen, as well. This was the world's most watched professional wrestling news program, the Pro Wrestling Report. We'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen.